Hey, this is the Other On Cinema podcast, the podcast in which myself, Ramsey, an On Cinema super fan, watches through On Cinema at the cinema with my co-host Caleb, who has never watched through the show before. Today, we are going to be talking about Lucky Season 7, as well as, I guess you would call it Season 3 of Decker. But before we get into that, Caleb, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm telling you this here now. I've got a major surgery coming up, IRL, and I'm not looking forward to it. I'm going to be out of commission for a month.
Oh, yeah. When is that happening?
Right now, it's scheduled for September 22nd.
Okay. So
but I submitted a bunch of images and stuff to NIH in Washington, D.C. If they offered to do the surgery, I'm going to fly out there, so I don't know what scheduling looks like at that point. So it's still a little up in the air. It will happen one way or the other, most likely. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. My whole life's going to be derailed for a month, so not stoked on that. But yeah, went to that show that Ruth was asking us about.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It was fine.
That was at the Blue Moon?
I was at the Blue Moon. It was very hot in there. I don't think they have any air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
So we were you step in there, it's like a sauna, but sweaty, like you can smell people sweat. Me and Greg just went to a different bar in the U District and then came back for the band that we were supposed to see.
Have you ever played at the Blue Moon?
I have, yeah. I had a good experience there. This was a few years ago.
I played there a couple of times. I will say I played my old solo project. I played a horribly awkward show there, but that was my own fault because I was maybe a bit too drunk while performing.
Tisk.
But yeah, cool. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I don't really have anything going on. I had my first free weekend in like weeks, so all I did all weekend was play Pal World.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which, if anybody's curious, is actually pretty fun. They got the 1.0 update. And
it's official.
Yeah, because I played it a little bit in early access and it wasn't that great. I was like, okay, this is kind of whatever. Okay. But the full launch, it's not super polished. It's pretty janky, but like the core mechanics of it are pretty addictive.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Pokemon with guns. Anyway, this is the Other On Cinema podcast, the podcast in which we talk about Pal World, bars you've never been to in Seattle, and Caleb's surgery. But yeah, all right. So season 7, I've already said this a couple of times on the show, but I'm super excited to talk about this one because this is my favorite season.
This is your favorite?
By and far.
It's very good.
I mean, everybody has their own favorite seasons. I won't say it's objectively the best season. I think they hit maybe some higher highs later on. But for me, this is my favorite one just because, I was watching this in real time when it was coming out. And, like I've said, I had watched the show pretty much since the beginning. But this season was the one where I got really obsessed with the show because I was like, okay, they're really doing something different. Like this is when I started forcing people to watch On Cinema.
Oh my gosh.
And everyone getting annoyed at me.
Did you successfully force people to watch it?
Yeah, but then they would be like, I don't get what's going on because I haven't watched the other 6 seasons.
Oh, you would force them to watch the
specifically the first 2 episodes
releasing.
because I think the first 2 episodes are legitimately funny. On their like, I don't think you need a ton of background context to find those funny, but I guess maybe you do because my friends mostly got irritated when I did that. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. I've got a bunch of notes just on the first episode. So yeah. It's Lucky Season 7. It's casino themed.
No, it's not.
Explicitly for some reason.
Yeah, there's no explanation of that. And also the only tip of the hat they do towards that is saying lucky here and there. And the Stump the Buff movies later on are all 7, have 7 in the title. I think that's about as themed as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, they were a lot more active on Twitter, like in character, so maybe it had something to do with something that was said on Twitter, but I honestly have no idea. I think it's funnier if it's just randomly casino theme.
Do I need to keep in track of the Twitter beefs that they have?
Not really.
Okay.
It's not necessary reading
because Greg's show up, but Tim's don't, or vice versa. And like, I'd have to like hop onto the Wayback Machine to actually see the tweets.
I believe Tim deleted his X the Everything app account once that transition happened.
That's good. But I think that's healthy because like. Sorry, I'm immediately destroying the narrative of this podcast. Yeah, I remember going on Twitter back before Elon took it over, and it was all these people I looked up to acting like absolute idiots and just screaming at people they disagreed with in all caps. And I'm just like, what is happening here? This is not helping.
I think Tim and Greg were kind of making fun of.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I remember I got into a little bit of a Twitter beef with Eugene Merman because I was surprised that he was very anti-Bernie Sanders. But I'm not going to get into that.
Yep, no, we don't need to.
But yeah, no, it's not required reading. In fact, I think the only time where they reference something pretty directly that was discussed on Twitter was our cinema, which they bring up in this episode.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Oh, okay, that's what they...
So just for context...
Like the Reddit, the subreddit, that's what they're...
No, our cinema is Greg's take on cinema.
Oh, okay.
It will make more sense later on.
I see.
Which he talks about... He first started talking about on Twitter, but in this first episode, he mentions he was like optioning the show with NBC, but they didn't go through with it because there were some sticking points, which that absolutely did not happen, Greg.
Yeah.
But anyway, so back to the beginning of the episode. So Tim is got some great new facial hair.
Yeah. Is that real?
It sure doesn't look real. Yeah, Greg is back. They've made up since Tim apologized for burning his tapes, which he said he believed were dubs of the tapes, which Greg, rightfully points out doesn't make any sense. And Tim responds by saying, yes, you have explained this to me numerous times. But yeah, and Greg is wearing an Ant-Man t-shirt with the Ant-Man logo very poorly blurred out.
Yeah, that is the amount of disdain that Tim has for Greg. Is it literally just because Greg is...
Oh, is that how you interpreted it? That actually is a funnier take on it. I thought it was just like they couldn't legally show the logo.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's funnier if Tim is the one blurring it out, just because he doesn't want any reference to Ant-Man.
It's a bit of both. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I never viewed it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Greg, he compares Tim burning his VHS collection to going into the Louvre and burning it with a flamethrower.
I mean, yeah, it is.
Yeah, which brings us to the announcement of the Victorville Film Archive. And Greg announced that he's moved to Victorville.
Which apparently is like 2 hours outside of Hollywood.
Yeah, from what I've heard and read about it, it just sucks ass. And it's like in the like brutally hot.
It looks like it's just a random, a place that you would drive by on your way to or from Hollywood. And like... on like a road trip and would never, it just looks like a bumfuck town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So I have a Victorville Film Archive sweater, and I wore it to the grocery store once, and there's this really awkward clerk there who he was checking out my groceries, and he was like, "Oh, Victorville Film Archive. What is that? I'm from Victorville." And I was like, "Oh, it's like from this show I watch. It'd be too complicated to explain it."
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Yeah.
It looks so. Greg managed to like multiply not just add to his collection, but multiply his collection this way. And Tim, I'm guessing, is a little bothered by that.
Yeah, you can see he seems a little devious. He has a devious look in his eyes when Greg is explaining it. But yeah, Tim describes the founding of the VFA as a too good to be true storybook ending, which I'm proud to be part of because, again, he burned all of Greg's original collection.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tim announces that Our Values Are Under Attack is a #1 download. Greg immediately asks where.
Yes. Where is this #1?
Yes. Just, his first download.
Yeah.
And yeah, at this point, Tim announces that he's going to be focusing more on music this season, and he's giving Greg the keys to the kingdom to write and produce and direct the third season of Decker.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, Greg's going to have like full creative control almost over the whole Decker franchise now because Tim has found a new vanity project to put all of his attention in. And so now not just on cinemas being abandoned energetically, but now Decker as well.
Yeah. And even while he's announcing this, he finds ways to belittle Greg a little bit because he compares it to, Steven Spielberg giving off the directorial duties to no names for Jaws 2 and 3, in which Greg says, Jaws 2 is great.
Have you seen?
I like it better than the original.
Well, okay.
I've never seen any of the Jaws movies, actually.
Wait, what? And you call yourself a film buff?
I've never once claimed that.
Well, okay.
I'm a non-cinema buff.
You're a non-cinema buff. But you have to see Jaws. How are you supposed to know? I know that Mark Fox does a monologue. That's from that movie. How are you supposed to know how good he does? If you haven't seen the original.
Just from what I know about Mark, I think I have enough information there.
He is a consummate professional.
But yeah, we get the infamous Ant-Man review, which, Greg recuses himself because he, of course, plays that bit character there in the movie. I've actually never seen the first. Oddly enough, I've only seen the second Ant-Man movie, but I haven't seen the first one.
I haven't seen a one. Not a one Ant-Man.
Yeah, Tim is actually in the second Ant-Man movie.
Oh, he's in the second one? Okay.
Yeah, which will be also a plot point.
Is that because there's like Ant-Man, there's Ant-Man the Wasp?
Yeah.
And then is there Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania?
I think it's just Ant-Man Quantumania.
There's just two.
There's three.
There's three.
Greg is in the first and the third one, and then Tim has a very brief cameo in the second one.
Okay.
Which I think is...
Wait, have you seen the second one?
I've seen the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that one all right?
It was fine.
Okay.
It's like before the Marvel movies started getting like really bad.
Yeah, because the Marvel movies have always been fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know if...
It's very watchable.
Because I saw my brother, he was super into those movies, and he was watching Quantumania or whatever, and I was just like, what is happening? I cannot... It's just CGI like goo as a film.
So Tim reviews Ant-Man, and he gives it a scathing, terrible review. I think this is the first time he's given really anything a negative review. He compares it to an Ed Wood movie, and I have to say... He already went back on his promise to Peyton Reed that he would never get a bag of popcorn from him, because he does give Ant-Man a single bag of popcorn because, of course, there has to be a bag of popcorn.
Yeah.
The laws of physics demand it.
Yes.
It's what he says.
Wait, he says the laws of physics demand it?
I believe he says there has to be a bag of popcorn. The laws of physics demand it, and then describes it as a very sad bag of popcorn with unpopped kernels.
Yeah, you have to chew it a
whatnot.
lot. Yeah, get stuck in your teeth. A horrible, horrible movie. Shame on everyone involved in the film, including the small part actors. Shame on you.
It's okay, though, because Greg's going to get his comeuppance because they review the
Stick? Yes.
Fantastic, notoriously horrible Fantastic Four movie from 2015, which apparently Tim was also in.
Which I had no idea until this episode.
And I just, like, talking about the meta of it all, I'm just like, I'm wondering if this just happened to be a coincidence and they wrote it into the show, or if, like, Tim specifically was like, okay, like, to his manager, you have to get me, like a line.
Yeah.
in something that we can write this in. But yeah, Tim gives it 6 bags of popcorn. He refers to Josh Trank, the director, as his captain. But yeah, Greg also gives it a good review because, Greg never gives anything a bad review except for the One Direction movie. And he claims that Tim paid $15,000 to be in the movie as a vanity role, which he paid for his Fantastic Four lines, which is a great little
pun.
read by Greg, which of course that causes Tim to completely melt down. And, he shuts down the show and screams, "If I paid $15K, it was to get the conversation started."
So he did pay $15K. Okay. I heard that Josh Trank is not the easiest person to work with. So I'm curious. Okay, I guess my question is, do they review the movie Us at some point? Because Tim plays quite a large role in
no,
that.
I don't think that actually ever comes up.
Okay. So Tim in Fant Forstick is performed in character, in universe, in the On Cinema universe. However, in Us, that's just Tim the actor breaking kayfabe to play.
Oh, Tim's not playing himself the character in Fantastic Four.
No, but he's playing himself the character playing the character.
Yeah, no, they never bring up Us, I think specifically, because I think, that's like actually a good movie. So it would be kind of weird to bring it on.
That's an actual trying to do something artistically meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah, so episode 2 starts out with Greg announcing that the new season of Decker will be in the most exotic locale yet, which, I mean, I guess is true. Tim makes a passing comment of saying, like, "Hey, can we get all my shots in one day?" But yeah, this is where Tim announces Dakar, which is going to be a pretty big thing in the show going forward.
Good.
We see Axiom later. He's going to be one of the bigger recurring characters in the show. But yeah, of course, Greg takes issue with this. One, because it's a musical project, but also because Dakar sounds too much like Decker, and he thinks that people are going to get confused by it. Some movie reviews. I forget what movie they're reviewing, but Tim is trying to say Dakota Johnson. He can't say Dakota, so he calls her North Dakota Johnson.
He at some point he says Dakado.
Yeah. And Greg's just like, it's like Dakota, like North Dakota.
Yeah. I do think Tim might have, he should go to speech therapy or retake like first grade.
Yeah. But then they review Black Mass, which has Johnny Depp in it. And I think Greg's brought this up before, but this is just going to continue the tradition of Greg taking issue anytime Johnny Depp is in a movie that is not directed by Tim Burton.
Yes.
He says that Johnny Depp is more suited for playing fanciful characters with flowing gowns and maybe a strange cap. Tim suggests he'd be good in a Captain Crunch movie, which Greg says, "They haven't made a series about Captain Crunch yet, but he would be great in that role. I'd love to see him playing a rabbit or maybe a talking cat or a giraffe that comes to life."
Oh my gosh.
I was watching this the other night with my partner, and I just could not stop laughing at that whole segment.
I know it comes up later, but yeah, anytime Johnny Depp is in a film, Greg takes issue with the fact that Tim Burton is not directing it. Anytime Tim Burton makes a film, Greg takes issue with the fact that Johnny Depp is not in it. And anytime a film is made that the subject matter would be well served in Tim Burton's hands, arguably, Greg takes issue with the fact that Tim Burton did not direct it and that Johnny Depp was not starring in it.
We get a review of the Maze Runners. My favorite bad name reading from Tim this season is when he's trying to say Thomas Brody Sankster, and he says Thomas Brody Skanksters.
There we go.
And then he describes the gladiators in the movie as gladers.
Gladers.
The gladers.
I had never seen those movies, so I didn't know that was a mispronunciation.
Yeah, he was trying to say gladiator.
Could I take a 2-minute break to let the rotten bologna evacuate?
Listeners, again, my very stinky dogs stunk up the room. But yeah, Tim does mention that it's important to go on dates with your partner so that you keep the flame alive. And he mentions that he went and saw the Lego movie with Ayaka in that context, which I wouldn't really call a good date movie. But I don't know, maybe not for those two. The image of Tim and Ayaka watching the Lego movie together is very funny.
It is. It makes sense to me. They're weird. They're a weird couple.
But yeah, so then we get Greg's lucky dip, which I love. So what the fuck is that even? It's just he has a bag of VHS tapes. And I love that Greg talks about the lucky dip like you should know what it is already. And he describes it as we're going to do a lucky dip, which anyone has done in their life. Yeah, thought that was a good way to, end out the episode, especially because Tim, pulled out a movie that Greg has never seen before.
Oh yeah, that was very funny. Also, the fact that Tim says beforehand, let's push through and get to Greg's segment. Like he could not be more uninterested in what he is doing, like in the current.
Well,
moment.
yeah. Would you be interested in doing a lucky dip?
Yeah, I would be.
Maybe if it was a French dip.
French is good, but I would be interested in doing a lucky dip.
All right.
Stick my hand down some VHS tapes. Very tactile.
Put your hand in the VHS hole.
Yeah, in the VHS hole. The tape hole.
The tape hole. The T hole.
Yes, the T hole.
Not related to Tim. All right. So episode 3, Tim is late to the episode because he had a rock and roll weekend.
Yeah.
He got his ears pierced as he do on a rock and roll weekend. And right at the beginning, Greg seems very concerned and tells Tim that they need to talk about something. But they don't get into it because Tim, he has to show us the demo of the new Dakar song, Empty Bottle, which he mentions he recorded with Axiom, who he met at Guitar Center, which is just a funny detail to me.
I mean, later when we see him, too, it looks like he really did meet him at Guitar Center. Like, yeah.
Yes, Axiom looks like a guy who would work at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they play Empty Bottle, and I have a whole spiel about how funny I think the way Empty Bottle is mixed. Because, okay, so if the song was just straightforwardly bad, it really wouldn't be that funny. But the way I describe it is that Empty Bottle is like a competently written song, but it sounds like it was recorded and mixed and engineered by someone who like took a quarter of audio engineering classes at community college, because nothing about it is particularly horrible. Like the
misguided.
I wouldn't even say misguided. Okay. Just like you know a little bit, but you don't super know what you're doing yet. So the vocals sound fine, but they're mixed just a little too loud, and they're not blended into the mix at all. They're completely dry. There's no reverb or delay. When the harmonies come in, the harmonies are just mixed again a little too loud. Also, nothing is panned. Everything is straight down the middle. The bass and the rhythm guitars are just compressed to all fuck, which is like a very newbie audio engineering thing. You're just like, throw heavy compression on everything. It makes everything sound better. And then the drums are actually recorded and mixed fairly well, I will say. The funniest thing to me about the song is the guitar soloing, because again, it's competent, but the riffs and stuff you can tell are obviously like Tim is playing those particular riffs because he thinks he looks cool playing, because like there's so many like just like way too many hammer-ons and like slides like and then it just has like, and don't get me wrong, I like a good chorus effect, but it's just like way too heavy, the effect on there. And again, it's not blended into the mix well. It's just a little too loud. Everything about Empty Bottle I think is so funny. I should say, while they're playing it, Tim is just kind of muttering like comments about it the entire time.
Yeah.
And like air drumming along to it. And Greg just looks really off-put the entire time.
Well, yeah, because like, I mean, they're there to talk about movies. But definitely, I found you have a lot more experience with the like audio and music recording process, so my takes are going to be a lot more rudimentary. But yeah, I felt it was really kind of harsh and like jagged of a mix and a little shrill and kind of like almost like grainy. Like it just,
but not in a good way.
No, and not in a. It was like too clean, yet grainy, and
it's because the mids are
dirty at the
there's
same
way
time.
way too much mud in the mix too.
I see. Yeah.
They didn't scoop the mids, as they say.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, it's just bad. It's like, quote unquote, functions as a song, as a recorded piece of music. It's like just shitty enough in a particular kind of way.
It sounds like a 40-year-old man met someone at Guitar Center who convinced them to, record in their shitty basement studio.
Yeah, they nailed it. Also, the name of a song, Empty Bottle, is perfect for an aging alcoholic.
Yep.
Just at the beginning, Tim did get his ears pierced during his rock and roll weekend. They have a ticker of the movie ratings.
Oh, I forgot that
this
detail.
Episode.
They didn't review any movies, and they just have the reviews running at the bottom
while the music plays for like 2 minutes or whatever.
So we get through Empty Bottle, and Greg reveals that what he wanted to talk about was that Ayaka has actually been working for Dr. San. Dr. San is back, who he met at his wellness picnic, what is a wellness picnic?
What the hell? They act like we know what that is. That's totally normal thing.
I also love the photo they have of them at the picnic because Tom Cruise almost looks photoshopped. That kid just looks so unnerving.
Yeah.
But when you
it feels bad to say because that is a real child, but just they found this child that looks so bizarre and fake. Like it looks like someone went into Photoshop and like blew the eyes up, just the pupils just a little too big and the rest of the eyes just a little too big and dark. And but that's a real child.
I feel bad talking about the appearance of a child.
Well, they probably look normal now.
Ooh, yeah. But anyway, so Tim freaks the fuck out. He says Dr. San is the most wanted man in America. And Tim shuts down the episode.
Well, he gets pissed at Greg and he says, get out, get out. And it's like, but Greg's this is something that Tim would want Greg.
Yeah, Greg was trying to warn him before the show.
But I think Tim's too stupid to not hate the messenger when receiving bad news.
And then the last thing we hear is after the lights go out, Greg just says, "We didn't even review one movie this time." All right.
Yeah.
So the next episode is the Dr. San forgiveness special. Of course, Tim has immediately forgiven Dr. San. They're on I don't know. It looks like a poorly rendered Dr. Phil set.
Yeah, I think I was trying to make sense of the set because it looked CG, not CGI. It looked green screen to all heck. But there are elements that weren't green screen the way that the shadows were. And I think what it is that the frame of the set is real, but then the what's in the windows is green screened.
Yeah,
I think that's
something
what's
like that.
going on.
I think also what they were trying to go for was kind of like a televangelist feel to it, which it definitely has that. But so we got Dr. San back on there. Joe Estevez is just kind of there.
Yeah. Well, Greg too is just kind of there.
Well, I mean, because again, this is technically on cinema at the same time.
Yes.
Before we get into any more comments, I do smell that Goliath farted again. Are you going to need another break?
I will need another break.
All right. Okay, I think that might have been a false alarm. Sometimes they dissipate pretty quickly. But yeah, so Greg's just kind of there for some reason too. Dr. San explains the issue with Tim's face getting infected was that he was coming from an impure place into his acupuncture procedures and that it couldn't have possibly been his needles because he was using 14 karat gold, and gold is a pure element.
Yeah, the needles are made of gold, and gold is a pure element, so it's impossible for them to be dirty.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then again, we get the movie review scroll flashes at the bottom a couple of times.
Yeah, and it's the same movies every time. The buckets of popcorn that are given to these movies are often several times the normal amount that they...
Well, because it's 5 and 5.
Oh.
That's why.
I didn't...
Yeah.
Am I the dumb one?
It's okay.
Okay. That makes sense. But they don't separate them, so it's just you just see 10 bags.
Yeah.
Go across the screen.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And of course, at some point we get an anti-vax screed because, Tim shows off Dr. Sand's anti-vax pamphlet, which I think he called one of the best pieces of literature he's ever read. And he does announce that he's taking Tom Cruise Jr. off of vaccinations and modern medicine.
Dr. Sand starts the episode just talking about all of the opinions in the medical industry, getting vaccinated. It's an opinion, very postmodern of him.
But yeah, it's a little bit of foreshadowing there that Dr. Sand is now going to be TCH's doctor going forward. But yeah, by the end of it, Tim is seeking Dr. Sand's forgiveness, which, Dr. Sand just has a pull on this guy. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, it might be, hidden. The secrets might be hidden in that long beard.
And the guy who plays this guy is just great. He plays it so straight. And we'll get into it in the last episode, too.
He seems unscrupulous, but a little bit. Yeah, he does it well where it's you can tell he's almost a little nervous or feels a bit of imposter syndrome, but sticks with the bit, which just adds to the character.
Yeah, because this guy's not an actor, I don't think.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any other acting credits.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but he plays in a psychedelic rock band. I think Tim probably just knew him and thought he would be great for the role or something.
I wonder what rock band he plays in.
It's public information.
Yeah.
The people on the Reddit love posting pictures of that guy when they see him out in the wild.
Yeah.
Because he is a public performer. But yeah, Greg is mad that, they didn't get to his Popcorn Classics. And then, it ends out with Dr. Sand playing a Song for Peace on his flute. Is that a flute?
That was a flute.
That was a flute.
Yes, not a piccolo. That was a flute, which I was stoked about.
Are you a flute man?
You know what? I hadn't thought about it, but I think I am.
You're a flute man?
I'm a flute man. I went to a roller rink one time, years and years ago, 10 years ago. It was the girl I was seeing was hey, we got to go to the roller rink. And for Halloween, they're doing a show there. And I went there, and we were roller skating around. And there's a band in the middle of the roller rink, and they were playing rock music.
Oh yeah, did you guys go to the White Center?
Yeah,
yeah. I've actually played at that same roller rink before. Yeah, it's not a good place to perform.
Really?
No, the acoustics are horrible in there for performing.
Well, it's just reflection.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, we had a terrible set because I just could not hear what was going on at all.
Gotta get in-ears for that kind of venue, maybe. One of the people in one of the bands was playing flute, and roller skating while flute is being played live feels pretty fucking good, actually.
I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah.
No, I like that roller rink. They have some good DJ nights there sometimes.
Okay, good to know.
If you're into house music.
I'm not into house music.
I like house music.
You like house music?
Yeah.
Is it just? It's just.
Well, that's just a 4 on the floor beat. It depends on the style of house we're talking about. I'm more into your classic kind of late 80s Chicago house, which, it's real piano heavy.
Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. It's not drum and bass, but...
No, drum and bass is the plays a bunch of almond break.
Yes.
Yeah, samples. I get down with some ambient drum and bass. So
I like dance hall.
Dance hall, that's different genre.
Very different genre.
But anyway, so episode 5. Yeah, it opens with Tim claiming that the Dr. Sand Forgiveness special is the highest rated episode in On Cinema history.
Where's it? Where are these ratings?
Who knows? Who's rating them cards?
Same place for his song downloads. Yeah.
But yeah, they review the movie Pan, which he describes as a prequel to the movie Peter Pan starring Robin Williams.
Yes. And does he I don't know if I misunderstood, but he also says he is Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, no, I have that note in here. He says Peter Pan didn't come out of thin air. He is Hugh Jackman. Which, he's always dropping these hints that he hasn't actually watched any of these movies.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
is that Tim just is assuming that Hugh Jackman is Peter Pan.
I would always catch Peter Pan with Robin Williams on. They play it on TV all the time when we were growing up.
Well, I understand him, misremembering the name Hook.
It's actually kind of an understandable mistake to make.
One of his more understandable mistakes.
But it is also the understandable normal person and boomer Venn diagram aligns there.
Yeah. But yeah, then they review Steve Jobs, and then Tim mentions Steve Jobs passed away to similar issues that Tom Cruise Jr. is having, which I actually believe, because if you know anything about the particular type of cancer that Steve Jobs had, it was because Steve Jobs had some weird medical beliefs, and basically, I think, only ate fruit.
Yeah.
And so he developed some, I forget what type of cancer. I want to say it was pancreatic cancer. But from that specifically,
I think it was pancreatic or liver. I can't remember what, but yeah, he was like on like a just pure fruit juice like diet, basically, like
something
fruit,
like that,
like just raw fruit only or something like that.
Which I mean, I can see Dr. Sand prescribing.
Okay, well, right before I deleted my Facebook like years ago, there were people that I knew personally who were like, yeah, those vegans, they're just starving themselves slowly, yada, yada, yada. I was like, I'm done with this. I don't need to know that the people in my life are this stupid. And so I deleted the Facebook. There are definitely some people that go vegan and don't take their nutrition seriously enough and do have issues. Okay.
Okay. Break. Another break for the fart machine. This one's going to be a fun one to edit because I want to leave at least some of this in there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, bro.
You got to give him some pets. Listeners, my elderly Boston Terrier is obsessed with Caleb. I think he loves him more than he loves me.
He does. Sorry, I didn't tell you that. I mean, everyone knows. It's obvious.
But yeah, vegan stuff.
I just want to say two things there, which is A, if you decide to radically change your diet, make sure your dietary needs are met. I never dealt with this as an issue, but, don't just eat fruit and nothing else. You will die eventually at an accelerated rate. And then also, if someone's vegan, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are not making sure that their nutritional needs are met. Yeah. Just saying both things.
Again, I get annoyed. I get annoyed with people who have those weird stereotypes about vegans. But I think where that one comes from is there's not like a 0% pipeline of people who have eating disorders who are also vegan. I'm not saying being vegan is an eating disorder. And granted, this is a minority of vegans I've met.
Yeah.
But I've known a couple who just they just don't like food. Which, so
I'm a pretty picky eater in general, and this is just me leaning into it,
But yeah, eat food. That's what we say.
Food. Make sure to take your
at least two types of food.
If you're a vegan, take your vitamin B12. That's the most important one. Just bringing that up to say that don't die like Steve Jobs. And if you do, invent the iPhone before you do that. Because then people remember you fondly. I don't know. I'm rambling.
But anyway, back to the episode. But yeah, I love it when Greg goes on his naming convention screeds where he's talking about how the Steve Jobs movie is revolutionary because it's the entire name of the person, Steve Jobs. I love. He's like, yeah, they couldn't just call it Jobs because that would read like it's a comedy about somebody who has too many jobs. Which isn't that what the Ashton Kutcher Steve Jobs movie is called? Is that called Jobs?
I think it might be.
Which I hear, I've never seen either of them. I hear that is both the more inferior movie, but is also more realistic to who Steve Jobs was as a person.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he was a huge asshole.
Doesn't Michael Fassbender play a huge asshole in the?
I don't know. I've never seen him. I've seen either of them. But
I don't have a lot of interest.
I feel like it's just kind of hard to dislike Michael Fassbender, even when he's playing an asshole, because he's got a charming face.
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher is easier to dislike, I think.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons.
Okay. dumb question, maybe. Is Ashton Kutcher a Scientologist?
I do not know.
Or is it just that they were defending a Scientologist?
It's because I know what you're referring to. I don't know if he's a Scientologist, but he still like publicly supports what's his face from the guy from that '70s show who
he raped someone, right?
Yeah, he got convicted of rape. He's in jail like for it. Like
what the hell?
Which
Why would you defend him?
it's really hard to actually get convicted of rape. So like if you do, the chances where it's like a false accusation are very, very slim. But no, he's to this day still like publicly defends. David Hyde Pierce, I think is his name. No, David Hyde Pierce is the guy who plays that dude on Frasier, I think. Frasier's brother.
Oh, yeah, that's David Hyde Pierce. Different version.
No, we like David
and
Hyde
it's
Pierce.
Not Sean William Scott. Sean William Scott's okay, as far as I'm aware. But, like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, they kissed on freaking that '70s show. Ashton Kutcher was like an adult, and Mila Kunis was like a child. There's a lot of sketchiness
everywhere. Yeah. Anyway, so we get a Decker update. We're about to get some episodes of Decker. It's going to be called a DVD, which we will soon learn means Decker versus Dracula.
Oh, spoiler alert. Oh, I just want to say that yes, Greg nerding out about how Steve Jobs' movie is called Steve Jobs, and that's the first time a biographical movie has ever been just named the full name of the person it is representing. Is very cute.
Yeah,
it's his own little hyperfixation within his hyperfixation.
Yeah. All right, so we should just get into Decker versus Dracula, I guess.
Yes.
So, I'm curious. Had you ever seen any clips from Decker versus Dracula before watching the show? Because I feel like it doesn't really.
Not a one.
Yeah. So was it a twist to learn that Dracula was the antagonist?
I mean, I was not expecting it.
I want to know what is going through Greg's head when making this decision, because it's just so perfect. Like we talked about this when we were talking about Portal Call. It's just so perfectly the wrong decision to make.
Yes. It's so perfectly off-brand.
Yeah. We learned that James Dean is back playing Dracula just from the opening credits. Something I noted
real James Dean, he's back.
Something I noted is that Decker versus Dracula, the fidelity actually does look a lot better than Port of Call, but it also looks worse at the same time because the camera work is shitty in Port of Call. But that's just because it just looks like it was filmed with a handy cam, more or less. This one actually looks like they put some work into the production values, but like everything, like all the shots are either like way too zoomed in or like zoomed out way too far at like weird angles. Everything, at least in the still shots in Port of Call, was at least framed somewhat competently.
The action would be like, center of camera and you could see it properly, usually.
Decker meets with President Davidson and tells him that Dracula, also known as Nosferatu, is back from the dead and is a threat to the United States. But it's okay because Special Agent Kington is on the job because he was already in Transylvania, Transylvania is not a real place, is it?
Is it? I thought it was in like Romania.
Okay, maybe it is. I don't know. I think it is. But yeah, he's already in Transylvania because he was giving a talk at a monster movie convention. Which
he was
I love that. Yeah.
He's touring the cons.
And a nice little plot detail is that Decker has to stay at the White House to give Kington commands because, they're trying to create a framing device in which Tim can get all of his scenes shot at once. And I should also know, in Port of Call, Tim had put in some work to at least try to memorize his lines. Yeah. In Decker versus Dracula, he's always very clearly reading his lines off screen.
Yeah,
because he didn't care enough to get off book. We get James Dean he's just chewing the scenery playing Dracula.
I didn't recognize who it was at first.
Oh, really?
Because just with that makeup, it doesn't look like James Dean. It's just the makeup, not the...
Well, it's James Dean from the Oscar special.
I know. I actually didn't recognize who it was because it's like, all right, because clearly that's not actually James Dean.
Well, yeah.
And on top of it, covered in makeup. I'm like, who the hell is this?
Well,
And then I
canonically,
realized, like,
we'll find out later. Canonically, that is the actual James Dean.
okay. All right.
We'll get to that when we get to it.
I want to believe.
So what I will say, although the plot setup to Decker versus Dracula is absolutely ridiculous,
Yes.
it makes like more narrative sense than anything that was going on in Port of Call, Hawaii.
Yeah. Port of Call is all over the place.
Yeah, there was just no rhyme or reason to why anyone was doing anything.
Well, they mention it too. They're like, yeah, like, you know, it's actually like written and has like a plot as opposed to just making it up on the fly.
Yeah, and we got to talk about the visual effects in here because they're doing a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get real full CGI in Port of Call. They're moving on up.
Well, and yeah, again, it both simultaneously looks better and worse than the effects in Port of Call.
I can't believe you've never watched any Neil Breen films.
I've been meaning to. When you talked about it, I looked up some clips, and I gotta get that on my watch list.
Yeah, but yeah, as his movies have progressed as he has made more movies consecutively, it seems like he's gotten more and more tired of doing it. And so the most recent like movie or movies that he's made have just all been in front of green screen, and there are no sets. There's just like stock photos that he puts behind through green screen.
They have to be aping off of that. Then I have to imagine with this one because the entirety of this is just filmed on green screen.
Well, no, Neil Breen started doing this recently, like past few years.
Maybe he was inspired by Decker versus Dracula.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I do not think Neil Breen has that level of self-awareness.
But yeah, so Kington goes to Dracula's castle. Dracula informs him that he will only negotiate with the president, and then we get Mark as Frankenstein hauling Greg away. And like Mark, for some reason, his Frankenstein is also doing like the curly hand gesture from the Three Stooges. That also sort of sounds like W.C. Fields.
Yeah, Mark's definitely got his tendencies, his tics, so to speak, that he picks up with each character he plays.
But yeah, then in episode 3, so not a whole lot happens in episode 2.
We do see a miniature, the castle.
Oh yeah,
is that a miniature or
it's a miniature? I have to.
It's like a doll castle. Yeah. So the third episode starts off with a recap that's in black and white and is like in the style of a silent film for some reason. Yeah. A little note, Adria actually pointed out, I was getting caught up on this last night. Adria pointed this out to me, but when they're in the Oval Office, in the background, you can see the White House. Yeah, I wrote that down too. Yeah.
It's just a great detail.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to mention that, are you familiar with full motion video games?
Yes.
The show is looking very
like a 90s FMV Sega CD,
especially because they're in Dracula's castle, and like the ones that I'm familiar with are often like a lot of those are like horror themed and like kind of gothic, so it looks with shitty low detail pre-rendered 3D graphics as well.
I don't know if you're familiar with the YouTuber Madular, but he has a pretty good like 3-hour long video essay talking about 90s FMV horror games.
Send it.
Yeah, no, it's actually really good.
Yeah, that's something nice to.
Have you heard of the game Harvester?
No.
Oh, you should check out the game. I'll actually send you his video on Harvester.
Cool.
I think you'd be into that because it's right up Decker versus Dracula alley.
Greg gets kidnapped, and I was like, it'd be awesome if that is the inciting incident for Decker, the character who is the star of the show Decker, to come in and save Greg, But
Nope.
I was like, I know that that's not
Nope.
what's going to happen.
President Davidson goes in episode 3. And I just, for whatever reason, there's this really long shot of Joe Estevez walking to his private jet and sadly looking back at the camera and waving, which he does about 4 or 5 times.
Yes. It takes quite a while for him to get in that private plane.
Yep. And then, yeah, so Davidson gets to the castle, but he is subdued by the mummy, which is also played by Mark, who is just kind of like weirdly hugging him and like sort of like gyrating on him. It's sort of like, obviously Mark is not trying to make it look like he's humping him, but it does give off that vibe.
He's not humping him, but it's almost like he's humping him with his hand. It's weirdly weirdly sexual. I did want to make a note too that so far Mark Proch has been playing Frankenstein, the Mummy,
The
Wolfman, Abdul
And-
comes back.
Yeah.
So they're really not wasting, they're not letting any part of the Mark Proch go to waste. He's such a impressionist. Is that the term?
Yeah, he's an impressionist.
He's an
Yeah,
impressionist.
not wasting his talents, that's for sure.
They're like, this guy's got range. We need to put him playing everything.
But yeah, the episode ends out with Abdul calling Decker, telling them they need to team up. And my favorite detail is that when he tells Abdul that he's got a deal, you can tell Tim is reading, like hasn't read the script before, is reading the script off screen, and he breaks character. He kind of like shakes his head and is confused.
Yeah.
Which will be the inciting incident. Spoilers, Decker versus Dracula gets canceled. Which we will find out in the next episode of On Cinema, which we're going to talk about right now, episode 6.
Episode 6.
So yeah, they get the reviews out of the way first. Greg calls Goosebumps an unofficial Tim Burton movie. Again, he says he wishes Johnny Depp was involved.
It could have been, sorry to bring reality into this. Who's the guy that did like Gremlins? It looked like a very like kind of Gremlins kind of movie.
Oh, what is that guy's name?
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but he's done a lot of those kind of movies. I'm not going to be able to think of it right now.
Joe Dante.
Joe Dante.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, like Small Soldiers and.
It's so well. He made so much money from the Gremlins movie. I don't think he really needs to like do that much work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what Gremlins 2 was kind of about. Was like, why the hell would I even make another Gremlins 2?
Yeah, because basically Gremlins 2
insane.
is so weird because he basically said, I will only do a second one if you let me do whatever I want to. And that is definitely what that movie is. If you've never seen Gremlins 2, please watch it. It's such a bizarre movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is clearly the movie made by someone who doesn't want to make the movie and just blows up every frame of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I want more movies like that. I want
Because
giant...
Gremlins 2 is basically just like a Looney Tunes cartoon, but with the Gremlins.
Yeah. It's like Animaniacs before Animaniacs.
Or, I should say Animaniacs,
Yeah. Because of the self-awareness.
Yeah. And then they're reviewing some Steven Spielberg movie. I forget which one.
Yeah.
But Tim says, if you don't give this movie 5 bags, I'll make sure you never see the light of day again.
Yes, he threatens to murder anyone who disagrees with his opinion on the film. Also, that he says that Steven Spielberg came out of retirement for this film.
He's never really stopped making movies, to my knowledge.
I take that as Tim stopped paying attention to... Because Tim does not care about the movies in general, so he was just not...
After they get the reviews out of the way, Tim announces that Decker versus Dracula is dead. He was not happy with what Greg had done. He says, you pissed all over it and you shit on it.
Yeah.
And then, Greg gets upset. He starts talking back to Tim, which he says, shut up or I'll punch you in the mouth.
Yeah.
Which is this the first time he's actually verbally threatened Greg with violence? Like he's been like threatening in his behavior to Greg. But I don't think he's ever like verbally said he was going to hurt Greg.
Yeah, it might be. It might be the first time that he's explicitly threatened violence.
Yeah. But yeah, Greg's super upset. He says, you're the one who shits all over it when you show up to set with a dyed black beard that Decker would never wear. Which, obviously Tim's beard is not natural.
Yeah, and I was glad that Greg brought attention to that because I was watching these Decker episodes, in the context of the season of On Cinema, And so like the fact that he shows up and has this bizarre beard on there, this Hunger Games style beard on there, like
That's a good way to describe
it didn't phase me because had already seen it in the. And then he brings up that I'm like, yeah, that is completely off character.
So in the next episode, so the intro to this one, it's particularly poorly edited and awkward compared to the other ones. Like, Tim's, little asides that he does keep kind of clipping in and out in a weird way. And then, yeah, Tim's look this season is getting progressively douchier.
Yes.
Each episode.
Yeah.
He's just wearing, it's not Ed Hardy style like clothing, but it's somewhat adjacent to that with like embroidered like cool guy looking patterns and stuff, which what his idea of what he thinks like a rocker wears. The way he is dressing, I think he is trying to look like the singer from Jane's Addiction in the early 90s.
Oh, okay.
Because they were very much like a stereotypical LA rock band.
I see.
But it looks a little bit ridiculous when you're not in Jane's Addiction in 2015 and are in your 40s.
Yeah, I used to work at a music store around that time, the time of the show, and yeah, we'd see a lot of people of that age coming in looking
having
like that.
Their midlife crisis.
Having their midlife crisis.
I got my issues with Bill Burr. I remember at the beginning of the latest Trump administration, everyone was calling him a woke king until he, did that terrorism festival.
The terrorism fest, yes.
But he does have a really good bit about Guitar Center being a depressing place to go into because it's just full of sad looking middle-aged men just kind of just meandering around.
Sometimes it feels like I didn't work at Guitar Center, but I worked at a store that, for all intents and purposes was like the local Guitar Center. And yeah, I mean, sometimes it felt like that's like what our job was like, yeah, that's why we're here. We're here so that sad middle-aged divorcees can come in here and feel some of that spark of when they were younger, feel like they got something to look forward to. They're going to get a guitar and they're going to play it because they've got nothing else to do with their time.
So Tim introduces Greg, who is looking particularly pissed. He calls him Mr. Sour Grapes himself, Greg Turkington. But yeah, during this episode, Greg is, really pissed off. He's making snide comments about Decker versus Dracula getting canceled. They're reviewing some horror movie, and during that review, Greg describes the Dr. Sand Forgiveness special as the actual horror movie. Yep. But Tim's, he's not reacting super aggressively to Greg because Dr. Sand has him on a powder called Relax.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. This episode is maybe the first episode where Greg's annoyance with the cancel. Greg gets so annoyed with Tim and frustrated with Tim and kind of angry with Tim to the point that it overtakes his passion for talking about movies.
So we get another Stump the Buff, which again, Greg gets all the questions wrong. He incorrectly says that Meet Joe Black came out in 1995. It came out in 1998.
Whoa.
And so I got to take something back. Earlier in the podcast, I said that I incorrectly said that Ant-Man was the lowest rated movie on cinema history, and I had said that it was the One Direction movie.
Yeah.
I take that back. That is the lowest rating from a single reviewer a movie has received, but Tim still gave that 5 bags. Ant-Man does technically have the lowest score because it has 1 bag of popcorn because Greg did not give it a rating. So, because he gets that question wrong. Yeah. And Tim is technically correct. It is still Ant-Man because it only got the 1 bag of popcorn. Now, had Greg just given it a review, it would have been the One Direction movie.
Yes.
So I was wrong. Greg is wrong in this instant. So I take that back. I apologize. The gentleman who was hosting the live on cinema event at the Beacon Theater. I'm sorry for disparaging you on the show.
He was right.
He was right. And I was right, too, when I gave that original answer. So kudos on me, too. So
Wait, how are you right?
Well, because you remember when we were doing,
Okay.
I said I did the trivia question, said that Ant-Man was the lowest rated on
Yeah.
cinema movie.
Yeah.
But then when we were watching the episode that had the One Direction
Yeah.
thing, I said that one was actually the lowest rated one.
Yeah.
That was the lowest rating from Greg, but total
Yeah.
it has a higher bag
Yes.
rating than Ant-Man. So
Yeah. Oh, so you
let's just move on for this.
when,
I'm
no
gonna,
wait. When you did
what?
the trivia, you answered though.
I answered it correctly, but then upon doing this rewatch podcast,
Then you
I
like
mistakenly,
wait,
yeah,
and now
but
you're
then
back
turns out
to
I was correct.
Shoot, I was.
Everyone
correct.
was correct the whole time.
Except for you temporarily when it mattered least.
Episode 8, we got a Empty Bottle playing in the opening credits, and we get the first appearance of Axiom. I just have to point out his outfit is amazingly douchey, and
Yeah.
I mean, just predicated by the fact that obviously this guy has some money and he's wearing an Eat the Rich t-shirt,
Yes.
which I thought was a really great detail.
Yes.
So what's your read on Axiom,
My
the character?
My read on Axiom, the character, is okay. Well, I hope that I'm right here. My read on him is that he is exactly that is a real person.
Oh yeah,
That is a real person just being himself for the most part. And that what you see is what you're seeing for real.
yeah.
That's my take.
I can't talk too much about it without getting into spoiler.
Okay.
Territories,
Well,
but-
don't confirm or deny. We'll just leave my take as my take for right now. I think that he literally is like a dude who plays music or probably plays music, plays guitar. He's very tall, it seems. Like
Very Italian.
very Italian.
Yeah.
I don't see race.
Wow. I've been more like, what's your read on his character? Like, why is he hanging out with Tim? Like, why is he on the show?
If I had to hazard a guess, maybe because right, the story is that they met. He was working at Axiom was working at Guitar Center, right?
Yeah.
So my understanding would then be that Axiom is charging this guy money,
Yeah.
to record him,
Yeah.
and produce
And
his stuff.
That's more or less correct. Is that
Because you run into many Tims show up in many Guitar Center, and many Axioms will charge to then do recording and mixing and
yeah. But Tim's relationship with Axiom will grow and evolve as the
Heck
show
yeah.
progresses.
Very
We're
good.
going to get a lot more Axiom in the show.
Yes.
So they play a segment of the new mix of Empty Bottle.
Yes.
To my ears, the only difference is that the guitar solos are like 3 times as loud as
Yeah.
they were
Yes.
the first time we hear it. It's really funny because Tim's talking about how much better it sounds compared to Our Values Are Under Attack, which he says he just recorded on his laptop. But I listened to them back to back. Our Values Are Under Attack is like a fairly well produced and mixed song.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it doesn't
mean,
sound-
it's stupid, but it's
Yeah.
like produced well.
It's basic.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, but Axiom basically says they're talking about production and like, oh yeah, it's like Tim's like, oh, it sounds so much better than what is it? Our values
Our Values Are
under attack. Yeah. And Axiom's like, I'm paraphrasing Axiom, but basically he's like, yeah, you didn't really have great equipment or know what you were doing.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
Well, you can tell
someone-
Tim thinks Axiom is just like so cool.
Well, I feel like Tim is like kind of like Bryan Cranston's character in Breaking Bad, like how each time he interacts with like a leader of the criminal underworld to any degree, he like pulls things from them, like character traits from them, ways to dress. I feel like that's what Tim's kind of trying to do with Axiom. Like he's like sucking like the clothing and I'm sure he smells similar now. And yeah.
Going into episode 9, we have a change of setting because this one takes place at the BFA, which we confirm is literally just a storage unit out in Victorville, which Greg is presumably living in based on what they show.
The mini fridge and
you see his clothes and stuff. But anyway, they're at the BFA because, Tom Cruise Jr. is at the hospital, and Greg agreed to host the show, but he got locked out of where they usually record, so that's why they're hosting at the VFA.
Yeah, Tom Cruise Jr. always miserable and never doing well. Spectre, the James Bond movie, that's like one of the worst.
Yeah,
ones.
that's what I had was, because he always, anytime they talk about like James Bond, he always loves like the worst ones.
Yes, of course.
And the reason he says he finally gets to review this movie is because Tim refuses to review James Bond movies on the show because he hates James Bond.
But so then Tim gives a Bond film 5 bags of popcorn for the first time.
Well, no, Greg gives it 5 bags on Tim's behalf.
Yes.
That does not count.
He puppets Tim's Spectre.
Yeah, and then he reviews one of the Peanuts movies, and I found this just such a wonderfully odd comment from Greg where he talks about his only gripe with the movie is that he thinks John Goodman.
Yes, the old man
kind
with
of
a
famous
deep baritone voice.
Yes, would be a better casting decision for Charlie Brown. I mean, Charlie Brown, just as with John Goodman's voice, would be very funny.
I mean, maybe James Earl Jones. They could have gone.
Christopher Walken.
Well, he doesn't have a deep enough voice.
But he doesn't have a Charlie Brown voice. We got to find a new Christmas tree. I can't do a Christopher Walken.
I wrote, I don't know why, but Greg leaving the storage unit, opening another smaller one, and it's just full of cardboard boxes. And then he says, okay, is just like I was like crying laughing because I wasn't expecting a zoom out. It was like a one shot. It was crazy.
So he does a popcorn classic. He does a popcorn classic out of the storage unit, which is interrupted too by the great detail that the storage unit is by an incredibly loud train.
That too. It passes by and interrupts him. He's in the middle of him talking. Which, like, is that real? Was that real?
No, they pan over to an actual train running by, and it's literally like maybe 15 feet from the storage unit.
I wonder if they timed it on purpose that way.
I have to admit. I mean, that's just an incredible synchronicity if they didn't try to plan it on purpose. But
fantastic filmmaking, regardless. Like, actually, how the fuck would they have timed? I'd have to go back and like try to figure it out. But
I mean, they probably just had someone, standing farther down, looking for the train.
Yeah, but they do a whole like on cinema episode for the most part and then zoom out, right?
Yeah, but there's also a cut there.
Okay, cool.
It would have been easy enough to edit
it,
But I mean, I could also see it just being
You could have the initial. I'm like overthinking it. You could have the initial opening of the if you were like actually trying to do it in one take or like trick a one take. You could have the opening of the first storage unit.
They have the Popcorn Classics title card show up is where the cut would have happened. We get to the final episode, which again, this just really cemented to me. I'm like, man, they're doing something genius here. So obviously they were very heavily foreshadowing that something bad was going to happen to Tom Cruise Jr.
Yeah.
Were you anticipating him dying?
Absolutely not. I was not expecting that at all. It's so dark and messed up.
It's they go to some pretty fucked up places in the show, and the Tom Cruise Heidecker Memorial episode is really a high point for the show, just because I think it just highlights just how awful and self-centered everybody is in this universe. So the episode opens and we get just a still image of Tim looking very forcefully upset. You can tell he's like pretending to be upset.
Very, very Erica Kirk style upset. Almost.
Yeah, because like within 2 minutes of the episode, he looks completely fine.
Yeah.
Where, you know, he's faking tears at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he announces that Tom Cruise Jr. has died. Craig has the wonderful comment where he says, you know, I don't usually get choked up at movies. Old Yeller, Ghost, but this feels just as bad as that, if not worse. And this is also another example of Greg. I actually do think Greg genuinely is sad about it, because I don't think Greg is like a heartless monster, but like all of his emotions and feelings are always filtered through movies and his own shit, because he says the thing he's sad about most is that he didn't get to shoot more scenes with Tom Cruise.
You know, we're really going to challenge his range as an actor with some of the scenes that we had written for him. I was really looking forward to it.
But yeah, Axiom is there because now apparently him and Tim are super close, because, you know, when you're in a band together, you're brothers.
Yeah. Famously, all these,
But yeah, then we get Dr. Sand explaining what happened. You know, they tried everything to get TCH back in good health by, he says they were foraging for herbs outside their apartment. He tried magnets to pull his blood back into alignment. Burning sage, as he says, so many needles.
Yeah.
And we only ever see Tom Cruise, Heidecker crying, and I'm just imagining them just like poking him with Dr. Sand's needles.
I think maybe they didn't stab him in the face enough.
Yeah, Greg, rightly points out they should have taken him to the hospital. And I think where the actor who plays Dr. Sand, he does a pretty good job at like playing off like defensive about this, know, because
he would have died faster.
Yeah, Dr. Sand basically killed.
Yes.
TCH. But it's okay, though, because Tim blames it on the vaccines that he got before him and Nyaka got back together. Jesus. And then he shows the T-shirt Tim bought for himself, basically, for Tom Cruise to wear, that says, "My dad is the best." And he throws this weird comment up that they buried him in the nude.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how, in his birthday suit. I didn't realize how dark that is until you just brought up. I'm like, yeah, that is super messed up that he was like showing off a best dad while he got him killed, basically.
Yeah.
It's so screwed up.
They still decide to try to review some movies, which Tim has not seen, understandably due to the circumstances.
Yeah.
Greg's seen one of them, though. He gives it $5. But yeah, and then Dr. Sand, Tim mentions that Dr. Sand said something really moving at the funeral, which is, he says, "When lightning strikes a forest, some of the trees burn down, but some are left standing," which is just like an awful thing to say. It's like,
some of you are gonna die.
It's like, a worse version of saying, when God closes a door, he opens a window. But yeah, they have a memorial song for Tom Cruise. Farewell, Tom Cruise. Missy, son, you ain't coming back. They really hammer in the fact that he's not coming
all these
back.
Songs, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the bass, he's not, it's on a guitar, like he's not playing lead guitar, he's just playing bass.
He's playing the rhythm section of this song on the bass.
The wateriest sounding bass.
Yeah, with just this horrible chorus effect on it.
That's what it is. Okay.
And
I was like, why is it
horrible chorus effect. The mids are way too high on this bass.
Yeah.
And he's got a nice, Ampeg half stack he's playing out of. There's no excuse for that bass to be sounding that shitty.
I mean, there's no excuse, but there's a reason. Because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, the season ends and, it goes to black, and you overhear Tim and Axiom talking about how that song could be a B-side for their record, which, it's so fucked up. And it's not the fact that Tom Cruise died that is funny. It's just how awful all of these people are being about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when, like, I see it, like, very similar to, like, when Charlie Kirk died, like the people who would like defend Charlie Kirk and say that we should be sad that he died and stuff. It's like, yeah, but like his literal wife doesn't even care. Like, why should we care? And it's like, Yeah, like it's sad that like this child died, but then they're playing it off like they do not care at all. Basically, just barely, just enough. It was just like, yeah. So like, in a weird way, it like thematically isn't that the heaviness of it doesn't like weigh down the episode comedically.
Yeah, and I mean, I try to talk about the Carly Rae Jepsen, the Charlie Kirk thing with some
Ray.
sensitivity, because I don't want to take anybody dying lightly, but I do think that is a good example, because when that happened, I got really freaked out, because I was like, oh shit, this is like the Reichstag fire, which
okay,
that's what was going through my brain. That's what was going through my brain when that happened. I was like, oh, they're gonna use this to do all the crazy fascist shit they want to do. But then like a month went by, and I think it's evidence that no one actually cared, was because they didn't do that, because no one actually cared. Like it was just so I think transparently cynical what they were doing to, I think, probably even people on the right, so but anyway.
Well, I mean, that's how you got like Candace Owen and everyone, like all these, like this division in the right, where like these like podcasters and stuff like arguing, because it was just like, bro, you just like cynically just use this guy's death to like sell merch.
I don't want to make light of anyone's children growing up without a parent, because the kids obviously are innocent and all that.
Yeah, no, I feel bad about that.
So let's get into the post season Decker versus Dracula stuff. So the first one, we get Tim's like hit piece against Greg, which is it's called Decker versus Dracula: Behind the Truth, and it's presented like a true crime documentary,
because they show footage from behind the scenes, and it's just funny because like when you show footage from behind the scenes, like you're showing things in a way that they're not meant to be filmed, and so stuff isn't like lit properly, so it's got all these like shadows on it and like looks all dark.
So before we get into that, I did want to point out, so the beginning of this is like a text crawl of just what Tim is narrating. All right, like there's no reason for this to be a text crawl.
No,
it's just Tim narrating about how Greg did a horrible job. Directing Decker versus Dracula. But my favorite part about it is that it's all in papyrus font.
I didn't even pay attention to that. Yeah,
classic bad font.
Classic, one of the worst.
But I mean, the whole thing is just behind the scenes footage of the filming of one episode of Decker vs. Dracula. And it's just Tim being an asshole the entire time.
Yeah.
And like some of Greg's comments are a little silly, but he actually has some reasonable ones. Like Tim takes issues with the fact that he's asking Joe to like change some of his body movements because it's throwing off some of the lighting on the set, which is like, no, that's a reasonable bit of direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a caption that says, what good director would ask their performer to behave differently because of lighting?
Perfectly reasonable, especially for Joe. Joe's a fucking pro.
This whole thing is just Tim showing how much of an asshole he is, basically.
Yes.
And then, it breaks down when they get into the whole part with, Decker agreeing to team up with Abdul. I don't know if it was kind of hard to hear some of the audio, but Greg says, no, he says, Dracula is the worst terrorist that's ever existed.
I didn't hear that.
Because he's trying to explain why it makes sense for Decker to team up with that.
Yeah. No, he's not sacrificing his integrity here. Greater evil, greater terrorist.
And it ends with Tim storming off set and doing his demonic, angry voice.
Yeah, of course.
So Tim's thing doesn't prove anything. So we have another one, which is Decker versus Dracula: The Lost Works, which is is basically just Greg. He decided to shoot the final episode of Decker versus Dracula, but in a surprise twist, he has recast Decker with Mark.
That made me laugh harder than anything in the entire show, probably to this point. Because I was not expecting that.
It's been a while since it's been a second since I've watched this. And
what is going on there?
So Mark trying to do an impression of Tim's weird faces he makes when he's playing Decker.
Jason Segel or whatever. Ty Segel. No, it's yeah.
Is the funniest fucking thing on the planet. And then, yeah, we just get clips of Mark posing around the Oval Office shooting his gun as Decker.
Yes.
And then he's still... So Greg put a shitty fake beard on Mark, even though he's already said multiple times how he didn't like that Tim had the beard.
Yes.
But I guess he's trying to keep some sense of continuity.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Joe is explaining how Kingpin saved the day. And then apparently Dracula
Kingpin
was apprehended by the ghosts of the Three Stooges. And then we get a clip of James Dean as Dracula with just little clips of Mark from the third Oscar special doing his Three Stooges impressions, just flying around him. They have no explanation as to why that happened in the show. Oh, it's really fucking funny.
It made me feel for Dracula, because I think anyone dealing with subjected to that would lose their fucking minds, because he's like sped up, I think, too. Oh my god! And there's three of them all at once, and it's the full. It's like 9 Stooges. No,
it's just the three of them.
No, but it's when Mark is doing his amalgamation, the manic amalgamation of all three of them.
Yeah.
So then it is like 9 Stooges.
And in my memory, it's been a second since I've watched Decker versus Dracula, but in my memory, the Three Stooges thing actually happened in the original 3 episodes. And I thought there was like in my memory, I thought there was like Greg had summoned the ghosts or something with his movie expertise. No, I didn't realize it was just completely not explained at all. It was just like this weird throwaway thing, which is funnier to me.
It's a cherry on top.
Because I have to imagine what, Greg's writing decision there was. But yeah, after that, Greg announces that he's starting a $250 million Kickstarter campaign to finish The Wreck of Decker versus Dracula, which he says partially is so high because they have to buy the rights of Decker from Tim, which of course that's worth that much money. And, interestingly enough, Greg dedicates the special to the memory of Tom Cruise Heidecker, which Tim didn't do in his special.
Well, Tim's got his priorities, which is not his son that he got killed.
So, yeah, that's the season. I had a lot of fun watching through this one again. I mean, this is probably the season that I've watched the most out of, but it's always fun just like sitting down with my notebook and taking notes on it. Because there's just, there's just things I didn't catch, even years later. But yeah, what'd you think of this one?
Definitely. I mean, it definitely kept the pace up, which I liked. There was always something new happening, it seemed like. Always a different kind of twist and turn. And then the tail end of it, like that, especially the last episode of the regular On Cinema episodes were very funny because it was so cynical and so dark. And it hooked me because like the last season hooked me just because it was good. Whereas this season hooked me because thematically I am actually interested in what they do now going forward. And
because this was the first time where they really play with something actually dramatic.
Exactly.
Like it's not played as dramatic in the show, but like thinking about like what's going through their head, the characters' heads making these decisions is they're getting at there's something fucked up with these people. And they're gonna do more and more of that as the show progresses. Like pretty much season 7 starts like a really strong run of both seasons and Oscar specials for a solid, I think another, I would argue up until around 2020. Just so for some context, they do eventually get dropped by Adult Swim, and they make some changes. It's like self-funded now.
Is that because of the whole like the weird merger shit that was going on? Okay,
that is why. And there's some lulls, but then they just recently have done some really incredible stuff. That's even heavier than anything they've done. So I'm excited. I guess next episode we're gonna do Oscars special 4, which that's gonna.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sense of what I was even looking at with Mark Frost as Decker. What it reminded me of Men in Black, the one character who gets like he's like a giant cockroach wearing the man's
he
skin.
pulls the skin.
Yeah, it's that. But like, what is going on there? What am I looking at? I don't even know.
Because Mark has the bad wig, which isn't even the same. Like they give him a blonde wig. Like Tim's hair is like brown.
It took me a second to be like, oh, that's supposed to be Decker.
Because it's Mark. It's Mark trying to do the same weird faces that Tim does.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. But next episode we're gonna do Oscar special 4, which that's gonna be a fun one as well. I think that's the first like really particularly good Oscar special that they do.
Is that the one with the CGI Tom Cruise Jr. shows up? Or...
Oh, so yeah,
I've seen that clip.
You've seen that clip, okay?
Yeah. Sorry, that's the amount of spoilers I have. I've seen like a few.
It's hard not
30
to
second
see
clips
stuff,
here and there.
especially if you're watching it on YouTube, just with other stuff popping up.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
cool. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We do have an Instagram. It's the Other On Cinema Podcast. If you just search that on Instagram, if you want to give us a follow and shoot me a message telling us to keep it about the movies. But until next time, what do you got to say, Caleb?
I got nothing. I'm so sorry. I normally have something, but
fuck.
Sorry.